Okay, we're here today with Jim Rutledge, who is Master Distiller at Four Roses, Kentucky Bourbon. And Jim, I've got to confess, I haven't heard of Four Roses in the bourbon field before. Perhaps you could tell us a little about your distillery.
We were one of the 6 bourbons that was actually being sold throughout the Prohibition era, legally for medicinal purpose. After Prohibition was repealed in December 1933, Four Roses quickly became the #1 selling bourbon in the U.S., and it was the most recognized name in the distilled spirits industry back in those years. Because of the recognition, Seagram, the giant of the industry, purchased the Four Roses Distillery in 1943, introduced a blend of whiskey, and the blend of whiskey ran parallel with the Four Roses straight bourbon whiskey through the 50s, and Seagram made a decision to focus domestically on their blend of whiskeys, and the Four Roses bourbon was in international markets only. From about 1960, it disappeared from the United States. Since that time, it's the top-selling bourbon in many of the Western European countries and also Japan. But unfortunately, it took Seagram going out of the beverage alcohol business to return Four Roses bourbon to the United States.
So you're back in the market now, and your premium product is your single barrel, which we've been tasting today. And perhaps you could tell me how this is made from the raw grain all the way through to the final product.
We actually do some things different than other bourbon distilleries. We distill and age separately 10 unique recipes. We use 2 grain recipes. Both grain recipes are very high in rye grain content, the small flavoring grain. We have one of the recipes that uses 20% rye grain, which is more than other bourbons. Then we have another that uses 35% rye, only 60% corn. Both recipes use 5% malted barley. Our single barrel uses the recipe with 60% corn, 35% rye, so it's rich, full body, has a spicy character, uncharacteristic to bourbon. But we have 5 yeast cultures that we use, and one of those cultures generates a very light, delicate, fruity flavor that we use for our single barrel to balance the high rye content. And we introduced this in September 2004. We were only in Kentucky at the time, and it took us 2 years for this single barrel to become the #1 selling single barrel bourbon in Kentucky.
Thank you very much, Jim.